great big notice on the screen. There's no X on it to get off of or nothing. And it's just giving information to people, or I think that's all good. It's something for information.
Well,
I'm one too.
so,
Both sides of the aisle in Penfield.
you on?
So, Jim, is the commissioner with us yet?
We're gonna do roll call after everything. What do you want? You want the commissioner on the meeting or we run the meeting?
No, I didn't see it right now. I wanted to know if we had it.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
You all right today?
What's first name that?
All right, we're gonna call this meeting to order on Friday, April 21st. All rise for the pledge of allegiance being led by Mayor Hess.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
From the city of Ansonia, American City.
Present.
Okay, from the town of Beacon Falls, First Selectman Smith.
Present.
From the town of Bethlehem, do we have First Selectman Sorty? Okay, I don't see you. From the city of Bristol, Mayor Caggiano.
He's a
Okay, we got you, Mayor. Thank you. From the town of Cheshire, we have Andrew Martelli. I don't think
No,
so.
he's not attending.
City of Derby, Mayor Zekin.
Here.
Yes, sir. Town of Middlebury, First Selectman St. John. Here. Here in the room. Let's see, from the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
here.
From the town of Oxford, do we have First Selectman Temple? Have not seen it. Not yet.
Said he was gonna tell me, I'll be here.
Okay, town of Plymouth, no, Mayor Kilduff couldn't join us today. From the town of Prospect, Mayor Chatfield.
Here.
Thank you, sir. From the town of Seymour, First Selectwoman Dragonis.
Here.
Thank you. From the city of Shelton, Mayor Loretti.
On his way.
I was waiting. From the town of Southbury.
I don't know whether he's coming or going.
We don't have, we don't get a response. Is First Selectman Mandel here from Southbury?
Here.
He's in.
Okay. From the town of Thomaston, First Selectman Moan.
Here.
He's here in the room. And from the city of Waterbury, Mayor O'Leary
Here.
is here. From the town of Watertown, is town manager Raymond with us today?
Yes, he's on.
He's
on the call.
Good. And from the town of Woken, Mayor Dunn.
Here.
And from the town of Woodbury, you should have Phil Agresta with us today. There he is.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Chairman, we have a whole bunch of guests today. Lisa Kidder from the Comptroller's Office is here for a presentation. Also, Commissioner Dykes is joining us. Kevin Tedesco is actually here in the room. For those of you who don't know Kevin is our DOT rep. Stand up, Kevin, just so everyone can see you. Kevin's our new DOT rep.
Awesome.
Doing a fabulous job.
Until you talk to me.
How much time you want? Oh, boy.
Okay, is Commissioner Dykes ready and available?
Sure thing. Good morning. I'm here.
How are you? Good morning. Thank you for being with us this morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to everyone. I really appreciate you all making the time. And let me say how we've got so many great areas of collaboration going on with NVCOG, from Kinneytown, Dam, and the whole other, a lot of other collaborations. I really wanted to focus, so there's lots to talk about this morning, but I was hoping to take a few minutes of your time to talk about what's going on with our waste crisis. And NVCOG is such an important partner with DEEP and with the state on a number of different initiatives where you are leading. And so I wanted to take a moment to kind of recognize some of that leadership, talk about some of the results that we're seeing from some of your member towns that are participating in our Sustainable Materials Management Grant Program. As well as you may be aware, there's some discussions going on in the Capitol around key legislation. It's really important to DEEP and to Governor Lamont to help more municipalities be able to take advantage of some of the programs and make strides like many of your towns are doing. So I would be that's really what I wanted to chat about. And if you'll indulge me, I thought I'd start off by talking a little bit about our Sustainable Materials Management Grant Program. So first off, we have over the last 2 budget cycles, we were successful in getting about $10 million in surplus in the budget to support grants to municipalities to help you manage some of the increasing costs associated with waste disposal. And specifically, a lot of these grants have been focused on 2 things. First, helping municipalities that want to start up diversion programs to be able to cover some of the upfront costs of getting those programs started. And then more recently, we announced a grant round to support municipalities that want to work together to establish regional waste authorities. And so we're really excited that we received an application from NVCOG for funding to help you explore establishing a regional waste authority. You all work so well together. It's a really active and really robust COG that you all have as I look across the state, and we were delighted to see that application come in from NVCOG. We know how important it is for towns, or how effective it can be for towns working together to help more efficiently pursue, cost-saving measures in your waste disposal approaches. And so we're glad to be able to support that. It'll provide you with more economies of scale, more opportunities for successful collaborations with the state, especially as we explore things like new waste infrastructure development. Overall, I should say, DEEP received 9 applications for the Regional Waste Authority grant program, which really exceeded our expectations. I think all told, there's about $3.5 million of funding that was requested across the 9 applications. We have only $1.5 million left to fund these programs. So we're hopeful that we'll be successful in the legislative session to try to secure some more funding for the Sustainable Materials Management Grant Program, because we know how important that is to provide support. It's the first time we've ever had funding at the state level to help support municipalities with these costs. And so we're eager to work with the General Assembly to try to find a permanent revenue source to support these grants. But let me just back up for a second. I know this issue of the waste crisis is something that you all have had discussions about in prior meetings. And so I'm glad to have the opportunity briefly to just share why we think that there's a crisis and what the state's doing. With the closure of the Mira facility, it's really brought to the forefront this challenge of the loss, that we've lost the ability to manage our municipal solid waste within Connecticut's borders. We're now shipping 40% of our waste out of state. But more importantly, we've seen tip fees on average, they've doubled over the last 10 years. And that's somewhat related to the closure of Mira, but largely just the cost of maintaining and operating plants like Mira has been increasing. And it's municipalities that are left to figure out how to absorb that within your budgets. I know that that's caused, depending on where you are in terms of long-term contracts that you may have, different municipalities have been experiencing this real tip fee pressure, sooner than others. But overall, we know that this is a trend that continues to increase. And we're worried that if we don't act to try to regain self-sufficiency in managing our waste, we're going to be at the mercy of, other states to set those tip fees and dictate, the cost of waste disposal. And there are a lot of other states that are in similar situations to Connecticut in running out of, seeing their landfills in other states that rely a lot on landfilling. Their landfills are reaching capacity and closing. We're unique in our focus on waste energy in our state historically. But the closure of the Mira facility is not dissimilar in terms of compared to other states, in terms of states losing their landfill capacity. So there's more and more states and municipalities that are going to be chasing disposal locations, and that's just putting pressure on the cost of disposal. And so that's really the key focus that we have, is how to try to rein in those costs and make them more predictable and give us more control at the state and municipal level here in Connecticut over our waste destiny, if you will. So the governor introduced legislation. It's House Bill 6664 that put forward a strategy, really a couple of different tools that would be authorized in that legislation that we were hopeful, or we remain hopeful, would give more tools and supports to municipalities to help rein in these tip fee costs. The first element of the bill is something as it generated a lot of discussion and debate. It's an extended producer responsibility authorization. We see that there are 4 other states in the country that have adopted packaging EPR. It's a program that would shift the responsibility and the cost for managing recycling of packaging and disposal of packaging material to the producers of that, those brand owners and manufacturers of packaging, and get those costs off of that cost burden off of our municipal budgets. One really important, there's a lot of different kind of myths that were thrown around about packaging EPR, some different concerns that have been raised. I just want to speak to a few things. First off, that bill or that program, we estimate would reduce by about a quarter the amount of waste that we're sending out of state for disposal. So it's a really, it would be a really impactful program if fully implemented, which will take a couple of years. Number 2, there's a lot of, kind of myths out there about this would take away control of our recycling stream from municipalities and from haulers and so on. Very important in this legislation, it includes a municipal opt-out. So it would be up to each individual municipality to decide whether to participate in the packaging EPR regime or whether to continue to manage the recycling costs through the municipality and pay for that and through your municipal programs. So that was really important element of this legislation that I think was a little misunderstood. The other really important part of this, and the reason that we included it, is that packaging EPR, we estimate if it was implemented statewide and every municipality opted in, would save $50 million annually for municipal budgets by the time the program is fully implemented. So, that's the reason that this was a centerpiece of House Bill 6664. Certainly, there's a lot of debate about it. I just wanted to share our perspectives about why we think this is important. We see other states moving in this direction. I think it's inevitable that over the next several years, we're going to see packaging EPR adopted by more and more jurisdictions. I think it would be really valuable for Connecticut to get access to those savings for our municipalities sooner than later and have a seat at the table as leading states are designing these packaging EPR programs with brand owners, imminently. So that's the packaging EPR piece. The other big part of the governor's bill includes a range of different options to help reduce the cost of implementing recycling and food scrap diversion programs. We have about 500,000 tons per year of municipal solid waste that is actually food scraps and organic material that could be more cost effectively managed at an anaerobic digester, for example, or other facilities located in state. We do not lack for facilities in Connecticut to manage food scraps and organics, but what we're missing is the funding and the support for the programs to get the material collected from our restaurants, from our cafeterias, from our kitchens, and to get that valuable material diverted, separated at the source, and taken to the facilities in the state that are prepared to receive it. That includes the Quantum Biopower Anaerobic Digester in Southington. That facility is actually managing very little waste food scraps from Connecticut. It's largely taking material from New York and Vermont and elsewhere, simply because we don't have the collection programs in place to utilize that facility. I want to really spotlight the incredible leadership in NVCOG and many of your member towns, because you've been participating in the Sustainable Materials Management grants that DEEP launched last year. We provided grants for municipalities to help implement food scrap collection programs. And I just wanted to share a few of the stats. Ansonia and Seymour and Woodbury are the first out of the gate in NVCOG in implementing these programs. And we've seen incredible results so far from those that program participation. Specifically in Ansonia, actually Ansonia is leading. There are about a dozen municipalities across the state that have started implementing these grants already. But Ansonia, you guys are really at the top of the pack. In terms of the you're diverting currently. We estimate you're capturing about 19% of the food scraps across the 19,000 residents that are participating in your program. And so this is better than any other curbside collection program that we funded to date. And of course, these programs are just getting started. There's a lot of education, a lot of learning curve, and feedback that we're taking in, and learning. A lot of discussions going on among municipalities about how to adapt these programs. But these are pilots that are getting started, and they're really exceeding expectations. And I think Ansonia, according to our data, has seen a reduction in the total amount of waste tonnage that you're generating of 14% compared to where you were this time last year. So that's a really, really, that means a lot in terms of sustainability, but also in terms of getting on track to be able to reduce waste disposal costs. And Woodbury, I know, is moving forward as well. We've seen, I think you'll have a food scrap capture rate of at least 31%, with nearly no contamination in the food scrap containers in those bags. And a year to date, compared to where you were last year, our data indicates you've seen a reduction in overall waste tonnage of 16%. And Seymour, I think, is another one that we're really excited. That grant is just getting started, and we're really excited to see the results of that as it moves forward. So, again, this is what we can do when we partner together and provide early funding from the state to help cover some of those upfront costs of getting these programs started. We're learning a lot from these initial programs, and it's helping us better understand how to support this on a statewide basis. Lastly, I'll just say that the other important part of the governor's bill focuses on new infrastructure. If the bill made it to the governor's desk today with packaging EPR and the funding for expanding the sustainable materials management grants for organics collection, we estimate it will cut in half roughly the amount of waste that we're sending out of state. Accomplish that by the end of the decade, but that still leaves a significant gap of waste that would continue to be exporting. So we're also talking with the General Assembly and eager to engage with developers and with all of you to think about how we could partner together and what kinds of investments in new infrastructure would be acceptable and supported in order to help us regain self-sufficiency for disposal going forward. But I do want to highlight, that there's a lot of important existing infrastructure in the state that the governor's bill we see complements, and that includes our existing waste energy facilities. We've been talking a lot about how to make sure that we don't lose any more facilities after the Mira closure. This discussion around the bill has also highlighted that we have a significant amount of organics processing facilities in the state, including I'm hearing from entrepreneurs all the time who are really excited to develop new organics processing facilities. We just cut a ribbon last October in Berlin at a facility that is taking food scraps and converting it into animal feed. And they are doing that at a $0 tip fee, or in some cases even paying for those food scrap materials. It's so valuable for them. But also we have incredible existing infrastructure for recycling, including the Murphy Road facility, facility in Berlin. These are examples of significant investments that our haulers have been making in our recycling infrastructure. we think that positions Connecticut well to benefit from packaging EPR programs because it would ensure that we can send more recyclable material onto facilities like that one. So I appreciate the time. Sorry, I tend to speak fast just to try to cram a lot in a short period of time. But I wanted to open it up and see if there's any questions or, if depending on the time and appetite for more discussion on this, I'm happy to also take it offline and do some follow-ups. But this partnership, this engagement that we have together with NVCOG is so critically important. And I am grateful to you for making the time for myself. And I know we have a few folks from Deep joining today.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. We're grateful for your time and it's always a pleasure to see you here at the NVCOG meetings. And we have a few minutes. Would anyone like to make a comment or provide a question to the Commissioner?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Dykes, thanks for being here and giving us this update. It's Mayor Cassetti from the city of Ansonia. 50% of my people in my town are against this. The other 50 are for it. And I appreciate the ones that are for it. The concern of the residents is that the city's going to have to, we're going to have to bill these people. Is there any way the state could pick up this tab going forward for, even after the pilot's over to continue this?
You bet. Yeah.
Because I can't put that burden on my taxpayers. They're already screaming at me the other 50%. And what can we do to get that other 50% to entice them to do this? Whether it's programs or something, I don't know. But it's something needs to be done because it is a good program. But like I said, I'm split in my town who are doing it.
Thank you so much for that, Mayor. And I think that's so there's a lot of, I think the circumstance that you're describing is not unusual for towns that are, initiating these pilots. And we're learning a lot from the feedback that we're getting from residents, both folks that are, really excited about it, plus folks who are have a lot of questions about, how this works and it's a behavior change. It's a change in their habits and they want to know why we're doing this. Also, is it going to save money? Right. And I'll tell you that's why we're tracking this data so closely. And the fact that we have multiple municipalities that are implementing different versions of these programs is really critical because we want to, our goal is to be sharing, not impose some one size fits all on all of the municipalities from the state level, but really learn and share, ensure that there can be sharing across the municipalities who are doing this to figure out how to customize your programs and tweak them to make the most sense for and fit the needs of your residents. Our goal with these pilots, our hope is that they will achieve get to a point where they're going to be saving you money on your overall waste disposal costs. And so we're doing a lot of different analysis and modeling of the data to see what will be necessary to accomplish that. These are all voluntary programs. There's no statewide mandate to divert food scraps. So in any kind of voluntary program, it's really it's really important that over time we get more and more people participating, like you said, Mayor, so that it gets to that point where you have those economies of scale, right, of participation, and that's when we start to see that the program is generating savings relative to what you would be paying under the the standard program. So, but it takes dollars up front to absorb some of those costs of the beginning of the program, right? Until it gets to that point of participation where it becomes cost effective and is generating those savings. And that's where this grant program comes into play. That's our whole goal with providing the SMM, the Sustainable Materials Management Grant Program. So we're working with towns. We're covering those costs now in the initial pilot phase. We're working with towns that are getting towards the midpoint or near the end of their pilot, and they're starting to work on how to create a permanent program. And we're exploring what additional support we can provide to those towns that are moving to a permanent program to help, with the next year and the next phases of the implementation. Again, to help with the training wheels and some state funding to keep the program from being a burden on your budget while you move towards, getting those participation rates up high enough that the program generates savings. So that's definitely our goal, and what we're, talking with municipalities who are in this, in these pilots about how to tweak the program and make it work for your communities and get it to a point where it's generating those savings. But without these grants, right, without the state funding, we can't do that. And so we did propose in the governor's bill a funding mechanism to be able to expand the amount of grant support we have for the Sustainable Materials Management Grant Program. I know there was some questions and concerns about that funding mechanism. I hope that we can work together with you all, with CCM and COST, to try to get a funding mechanism and support for that will work for everyone, because it's ultimately, without this kind of funding from the state level, I don't think we have a chance of helping municipalities to absorb the, those growing pains and upfront costs of getting a program started and getting it up to scale.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. People don't like change. I mean, it's hard. I'm sitting in this chair and people are just not adapted to change. And I think things need to change. So hopefully we can work something out. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
That'd be great. And I wanted to say, I've been getting around and trying to, spend time in the communities that are implementing these pilots. And I was down in West Haven last week, and Mr. Mayor, I'd love to follow up and come down to Ansonia. Maybe we could sit down, and it'd be great to hear more about the feedback that you're getting. But I'm really appreciative of all the support your staff and the time you've been putting into this.
Great, thank you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. And there has been a lot of robust discussions at this COG over the last several meetings regarding this House bill and and the costs. And we're grateful for you. I know that you are aware of the fact, you mentioned it, that the haulers spoke with us at the last meeting, and you provided some information at this meeting, and we're very grateful. So I think what we'll do is, in the interest of time, we will continue our discussion, and then hopefully we will re-invite you or members of your staff to work with us and to address a lot of the questions that still remain and the unknown questions. And it's unfortunate you find yourself in a position where pilot programs, we really do embrace them and support them. We're always grateful for the support of DEEP, especially with Kinneytown project. But there's a lot of people at this table with a lot of years of experience, and pilot programs sometimes have a way of running out of money, and then the cost to continue the programs falls on the necks of the towns and the cities. So that is one of the major concerns, of course, as well as there are environmental questions, as well as some other discussions. So we are very grateful to see you, grateful for your time. We will continue our discussions, and certainly we hope to be back in touch with you in the very near future and have some more discussions about other concerns. Is that okay with you, Commissioner?
Terrific. And I again really appreciate the time that you all are providing. There's I will say, from the state level, our goal with this entire legislation and our whole approach to addressing this waste crisis has been to strengthen our work together and our partnership with municipalities, from the Connecticut Coalition for Sustainable Materials Management to getting this funding for these initial grants. I don't think we're going to make progress if we just, revert to unfunded mandates. And that's why I think this bill is a little bit controversial, because we did put forward some mechanisms that would actually provide funding for municipalities, and with packaging EPR, save tens of millions of dollars for municipal budgets. So I know that you guys are on the forefront and really feeling a lot of the pain and have a lot of the implementation responsibilities here for addressing this crisis. And I appreciate the time here to just reinforce how important our partnership is to me, and how important I think it is for the state to be supporting municipalities in these efforts. So anyone have any questions, you know where to find me. Please send me a note, katie.dykes@ct.gov, and happy to follow up with any questions or concerns that folks may have. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks again from everyone and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Okay,
In the meantime, let's approve our
We-
energy facility in Northern.
we have, well, next we have, well, should we do public comment or should we wait and do the next presentation, Rick?
You want to finish presentations?
Sure.
Sure.
So we have a presentation about My CT Savings by Lisa Kidder, Strategic Communication Manager from the Office of the State Comptroller. Hi.
Hi, good morning, all. Can someone tell me, am I moving slides or do I need to give somebody a cue to switch slides as we go forward?
We running them? Okay, we'll run them. Just do us.
That's fine. That's fine. So thank you very much to the NVCOG. I appreciate the opportunity. This program, I just want to preface this. We know that you are not the target audience in the room for this program, but we are reaching out on the My CT Savings Retirement Program to chambers and industry groups and COGs to help carry this message back to your business communities. So I hope that for that, you know, the information I'm going to provide you today will help your business owners in your communities comply with the program. Next slide. So there are, as you all know, there are more than 600,000 private sector workers in Connecticut who don't have access to a retirement plan through their employers, which is the simplest way for people to save. We know, people can always go to a financial planner, they can go to a bank, a financial institution and open an account, but it isn't, it's not a quick and easy process. So if someone is able to get a plan through their employer where there's an automatic payroll deduction, the rate of participation is far higher than if someone has to go out on their own. So we want to make sure that in Connecticut, more people are given access to a plan through their employer. So next slide. The law was created, the My CT Savings Law created to help employers provide employees access to retirement savings for their future with minimal impact to the business community. Next slide. So My CT Savings was created, it was a pilot first, and then once the pilot was completed, the program was rolled out in waves, staggered waves based on number of employees. As you may or may not have heard, the deadline now for employers, to enroll has been extended to the end of August. So we had a big surge of enrollments, as you can imagine, in March as we were getting close to that deadline. But the number of people who are now enrolling is growing quickly. So we want to make sure that we're giving people time to get into the process, have their employees get started. And we want to make sure really that people who want to start saving for retirement can. Next slide. So the Office of the State Comptroller created this program to make it easy to facilitate for businesses and to make it simple for employees to reach their goals. And the vehicle for this savings program is a Roth IRA. So employees can make automatic payroll contributions through a Roth IRA. The next slide. So this is the key for you to know. For employers, 5 or more employees as of October 1st of last year. If a business falls under that category, they need to sign up for My CT Savings. It needs to be at least 5 of those employees are being paid more than $5,000 a year. And the key is that the business does not already offer a qualified retirement savings plan. If a company has a retirement savings plan and they've received a notification from My CT Savings, they just need to go into the website and opt out. For employees, they are automatically enrolled in the program. When an employer signs up, it goes right. The employees are enrolled automatically as long as they are 19 years or older and they work at the employer for 120 days or more in the state of Connecticut. Next slide. So For you, this is not critical because you're not the ones enrolling, but it's very straightforward on our website. This is the homepage. If you're an employer, you go right to the register my business or certify my exemption. And if your employer has enrolled and you are a saver, you go right into this webpage to set up your account. Next slide. Setting up my CT savings is for business owners is very simple. They register their business on our secure online portal. They upload their payroll and the employee information for all their employees into the system so that they can make contributions on the payroll cycle. Employers can also hand off this task to their payroll companies, and there's a list on the side there of companies that we're currently integrating with, and there'll be more soon. We're piloting other programs. And third, the employer submits the staff list and keeps it up to date in the program. I do want to note that the program is being managed by the Office of the State Comptroller. The contracted administrator is Vestwell State Savings and the Bank of New York Mellon. So BNY Mellon is the largest custodian bank in the world. And for any of you trivia or history buffs, its roots go back to Alexander Hamilton, who founded the Bank of New York. So it is a long-standing, stable institution. Next slide, please. So if you are a business owner, here's what it means for your employees. Once the business owner has registered for my CT savings, we reach out to the employees and take over. This is completely voluntary for employees to opt to participate. They have a 30-day window in which to make a decision about what they want to do. They can opt out if they'd like to, and that's the opt-out rate right now is about 15%. I know when we were talking earlier, I said, we automatically enroll everybody because the participation rate remains higher if people are automatically enrolled. That's also a fairly common thing in any company now. My daughter, for example, works at Amazon, and they automatically enroll their employees in retirement savings, and then they can opt out. If an employee chooses to do nothing, at the end of that 30 days, a Roth IRA is set up for them. Oops, can you go back to the previous slide? Thanks. If the employee does nothing during that 30-day window, they will automatically have a Roth IRA set up for them with a 3% payroll contribution in a diversified target date fund based on the year of their birth or when they would theoretically retire. Or the employees can log in and customize their savings. They can change the contribution rate, and they can choose from a variety of investment mixes, and they can do that at any time too. For example, we've seen with restaurants, employees during busier times, employees will increase their percentage, and then when things, if it's, near a college, for example, and it slows down during Christmas season, they can cut back for a couple of months and reduce their percentage. So it gives both employees and employers a lot of flexibility. But the thing to remember for employees is it is always in the employee's control. It's their money, and they can do, opt out, opt in, whatever they wish to do. And that's portable. So if the employee changes jobs, it can go with them wherever they go. If a company already has a retirement savings program and they've received a notification from MyCT Savings, all they need to do is log on to the website and take that code they have on their letter and certify their exemption. If you jump to the next slide. This is on the website. All they have to do is go in and put in their tax ID number and the access code to certify that they already have a retirement plan and they've complied with the MyCT Savings program. If they don't have an access code, they can call our customer service line. If they lost the access code, they can call the customer service line. Or if they're a business who doesn't offer a retirement plan and they have to have 5 or more employees and they haven't received a communication from us yet, they can call the customer service center to receive a code. and make sure that they're doing, they can sign up in advance. And I know I talked to so many people who have insisted they never received any kind of information from us, and we'll talk through it. And they'll find out that they forgot they had an AOL account they opened 5 years ago, and all the emails are going to that account. So we always encourage people to check both their emails and any past email accounts, so that they might find a surprise there. So we've just crossed the 1-year milestone on this program, and we're pretty happy with where we are right now. As of this week, more than 3,600 businesses have enrolled in the program. And right now we have more than 10,500 employees who are now saving for retirement. And many of those people are saving for their retirement for the first time, which is amazing. And then we have almost $4 million in assets right now in the program, which is great. In December, we had 1.5 million. So the program is growing significantly in the next few months. And in the last few months, and we will expect it to continue through the end of the year. At this point, there are no penalties if a business has not complied with the program by the end of August. However, there are penalties under consideration at the legislature. And so it's possible that later in this year, penalties for noncompliance will be implemented. And I want to stress that the penalties are really an incentive to get people to sign up. We don't want to fine small businesses for not participating in the program. We just want the businesses to either participate in My CT Savings or go to a private company and get a plan for themselves. We want them to offer retirement savings to their employees. And just last week, a study came out from the Pew Charitable Trusts that in the 3 states that preceded Connecticut in establishing these types of plans, while concurrent with enrollment in these plans, participation in other retirement savings options also increased. So the 2 programs, what we're doing is not really competing with private financial planning groups. We are probably reaching a segment of the market that would not necessarily use a private company, but enrollment is also going up in 401ks in those states that are already offering the retirement plans, the auto IRAs, financial planning, or retirement enrollment in 401ks is also growing. So these 2 things do complement each other. So I hope that gives you, kind of the very brief overview of the program. As with any program, there's a lot of specific details, and I'm happy to speak with anyone about it. If you run into a business owner who has questions or concerns, have them call our office. They can also email the customer service line, which is with Vestwell and My CT Savings program, and the same thing, the 800 number. Or they can call or email me. My email address is lisa.kidder@ct.gov. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, I think we're good. Thank you for a very complete and thorough presentation. We have all your contact information, and we're appreciative of you coming to us this morning, and give our regards to our controller, Russell. Okay?
I will do that. Thank you all very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too. Take care.
Yeah. All right. Anybody want to keep going, or you want to pack it in for the day?
Recess till next week.
Do we have any online public comments?
Anyone here from the public who wishes to address the board? Anyone here from the public who wishes to address the board? So we have, do we have new folks here? I know we were introducing our new friend from the DOT. Anyone else that would like to?
Actually, I'll do it at this point, Mr. Mayor, rather than under my report. We have 2 master candidates from UConn with us today who are spending the day with us. They're studying for their MPAs. Emily Ricci is here. Emily, you wanna
Hi, Emily.
say hi? Emily from Shelton, and is a a master's student at UConn. And she's interested in studying how cities and towns can become successful in pursuing sustainability initiatives in their communities. With Emily, we have Heather Naki. There she is.
Hello.
And she's going to be graduating this year with her MPA. She's from Cromwell and again, has interest in environmental sustainability and transportation. So we welcome both of them to join us and spend the day with the COG today.
Welcome. Too bad you join us on a day with 2 long presentations. Usually we're much more fun to be around. Anyways, thank you both and good luck. And we love seeing people here from on MPA programs. We'd love to have you anytime. No one here from the public, so I guess what we can do is unfortunately, I have to leave, but I wanted to work with Mayor Heft and talk to you all about a tour that we want to go on in Berlin. As the mayor and others recently went on, and it's a recycling facility that Commissioner Dykes had brought up. And there's an awful lot of questions going on about the EPR, about the organic food waste, about the penalizing the towns who are, bringing their MSW to their transfer stations or having the transfer station company pick up our MSW and then sending it out of state. And, we're getting penalized so much per ton financially, like a city like Waterbury. We don't really control where our MSW goes. It used to go to the CRRA plant, and then it went to Covanta, and then no one did anything to keep those plants going. And so now it goes out of state, which is really not our fault. And the states are more than happy to take our MSW because they're getting significant revenue for that. Having said that, it's probably not the best for their environment. We don't allow anybody to bring MSW into Connecticut for good reason, but regardless, this is a controversial bill because there's a lot of money attached to it. And it's very important because it's an environmental bill. So we all have, not to quote Mayor Cassetti, but, half the people want it, half the people don't. And it's one of those things. So anything that has a price tag attached to it gets people a little bit crazy, especially town leaders and especially pilot programs, because they all start out really nicely. And then when the pilot ends, the money begins. So we need to have some conversations. The best way I think we can learn about this is to start out with this tour in Berlin. Pete has thought it was well worth the visit. I've been trying to get there myself. And we're hoping maybe before I leave today, we can come up with a suitable date to go out there. And the sooner the better, because this thing is running. So I think that we should try to find time next week if possible. What do you think, Mayor?
Absolutely.
What type of recycling
So
facilities?
it's automated and it's very advanced. It's a $50 million facility. And it's very impressive in the manner in which they can separate virtually everything.
Yeah, the cardboard, the paper, the plastic bottles.
Everything.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
It's certainly part of the solution. And like Naugatuck, our materials are going there, Waterbury, Shelton, Middlebury, it's already happening. So we have to understand it, in my mind, and see how it fits into the overall solution. So I think we should all understand it and use it as part of the solution together with the other avenues and come up with something that will save us money. I will say this, that they will offer long-term sustainable low-price contracts that will stabilize our pricing, which I like, and getting people to recycle is absolutely critical. It's just very difficult to get over that 20% number.
We have one of these facilities in Shelton and have for a number of years. I don't know if it's operable today because we had a fire last weekend.
Yeah, I know.
And smoking. These things do work. There's no question about it that the separating of the recycling, it's a proven commodity. The problem is, what do you do with the stuff once you've got it bundled and packaged?
Therein lies the problem.
Therein lies the problem. So look, I'm happy to go and participate, but we have one.
We have more than one, so.
Yeah, they're all over the place,
So
actually.
I think that we should, as a group, I think Commissioner Dykes said it best, we're pretty sharp and pretty good and we get along, and I think we should all put our minds together and see how this fits into the solution.
They must have a home for this material coming out of that, Mayor.
Well, they sell it, I mean,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Be curious to see what the quality of it is. That was a big thing with recycling, that especially where it was done in the labor intensive mode, we weren't getting there was too much contamination within the elements. Be curious to see what they're doing. I bet you it's so very efficient.
Well, I think a tour and seeing it live is the
Very
best way to do
important.
it, rather
Yeah.
than just talk about it.
Let me ask you a question, because you've seen it. One of the problems with recycling has always been the glass gets broken in the process. Does this separate out that broken glass? So there's no contamination in what they're trying to sell?
They actually bring
Absolutely.
their glass, they bring it down to Beacon Falls.
So I get
They have.
broken glass, it doesn't matter, it's not your job.
It's a good thing.
Broken railroad. Well, that's
The other part is also, you know,
Using it in concrete.
Trying to keep it
Well,
alive.
I still do use that stuff, you know, it's still like that. I didn't know if this automated process could separate out the broken glass so that there's less content or no
I
contamination.
would just say it's far more advanced than I thought it was going to be, and everyone should see it.
So I'm looking at next week and I'm just well, actually, if you guys have a date in mind, that doesn't work, but one date that I'm looking at here, and this may not be good for all of you, but it's Friday the 28th. April's Friday the 28th. I really think we gotta do it next week.
That's a good day for me. I'm waiting.
Is that a good day?
First thing in the morning?
First thing, and we know how punctual you are here, so. You just tell us what time to be here, so we'll be there.
Certain things I'm very punctual.
Tea time. Dinner reservation. I'm teasing you.
We're gonna meet there, and we will.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys wanna do that? Anybody wants to carpool? I'll be leaving from Waterbury. I've got some room, so. 28th, what time would y'all like to be there?
All right.
9?
Nothing works.
9 o'clock, 9 AM. We'll have.
Hey, O'Leary.
Yes,
Why don't you have a bus parked down at the mall? And we could talk about this on the bus also as we're going to Harvard, as we're going to Berlin. Tell us what time it's gonna be there, and we'll have to be there, take the bus, providing
Oh, yeah.
COG has to pay for it.
Who's speaking?
we'll do that, Mayor Chatfield.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. So we'll have the bus at the mall at 8 AM at the old Sears parking lot.
You'll get
How's
the
that?
permission.
All right, yeah, we'll take care of that. And anybody who wants to ride the bus, if you would just do us a favor, just email Lauren, RSVP Lauren here at the COG, whether you're in or out, so we know what size bus to get, okay? In or out, 8 AM Friday, April 28th, Sears and Brass Mill Mall parking lot.
Mayor, I would suggest that Lawrence. is-
By the old Sears garage.
That's the best way to do it, you know, definitely.
You're way ahead of me on the technology curve, Ed. Thank you. Lauren can send, Lauren, you'll do that for us, huh? And RSVP you guys so that we know what to do, okay? I'll ride the bus. I love bus rides.
Mayor, is there any way somebody could take a good video of,
We have one.
you do have one?
Yeah.
That would be very important to get out. This is a great selling point, people
Right.
seeing exactly what the process is and how important it is.
Well, we don't have time today. at the
No, no.
meeting, But we have a video
Do
here.
you,
but,
could you, any possibility I can get a hold of that?
Just send the link,
Richard will send it to you.
send the link to YouTube link.
Why don't you send it over?
Yeah, we'll send it to you with the invite. Yeah.
Yeah, with the.
That'd be wonderful.
How was that? Pretty good.
I'd like
for
to
a guy
kind
that's
of
not-
look at it first.
Right.
With the right people.
Coming along nicely.
Those videos are so.
All right.
Oh.
All right, good. I have a meeting at noon in Hartford. And so I have to leave and I apologize, but it's a very important meeting and I'll report back to you all when we go to the Berlin facility, because this is one of the topics for discussion. Okay,
Very good.
all right, everybody. So we'll turn it over. Thank you, MPA folks. And go ahead.
Mark, which one, what number are we on now?
We're on item agenda.
Two.
I'm bailing out.
Just for the record, it is the longest first item agenda in the history of the. All right.
Okay, so we have the CNVMPO meeting. We have the approval of the resolution. 2023-16 tip amendment.
I move we accept both items. We're gonna move things along. Accept both items.
Yeah, if everyone has taken a look at the memo, I don't see any issues here. If everyone has any questions, well, of course, you can just approve and move on.
Motion is made. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Item number 3, NVCOG administrative items. Item
I move we accept A and B. We're gonna move it along, we'll accept A and B.
A and B.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
You're ready. Mike, you're right off the hook on
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3C, director's report.
Okay, I'm gonna just take it very quickly, and I'm wondering actually why I came here today. Drew Backwood, Drew, you sent the email update for legislative today?
Correct.
So everybody should have received it in their email today about bills that we're tracking. If you have questions about other bills, we're happy to take those up. The opioid advisory committee, the two gentlemen who are leading on that are now out in the hallway or on their way out the door. Drew, do you want to just briefly go through this?
Yeah, in less than a minute, in the interest of Mayor Bob's timeline, which I like, by the way. So bottom line, Mayor O'Leary is co-chair of a statewide advisory committee called COSAC that's going to be considering kind of the spend of the opioid funds that are going to be received directly to municipalities over the next 15, 18 years. And we're expecting 500 or 600 million to come our way. So I know we talked about that at this level, at this board meeting a couple months ago, and I've spoken to some of you individually about this in the interim. Long story short, they're going to be doing this in the statewide level. Mayor O'Leary and Mayor Dunn are both on that committee. If we are going to decide to form kind of a subsect of that committee and have conversations here regionally, I think Mayor O'Leary would be the key component in that, as he kind of encouraged that at our CTCOG meeting with all the directors present in Hartford last week. So they're meeting again next week. It's only the second meeting of that statewide advisory committee. But as they continue to flesh things out, I think it probably would be a good idea for us to maybe form a little smaller group or just have it as a standing agenda item here, where Mayor O'Leary can kind of talk about where they've landed on some of the statewide stuff, and then we can then mirror that regionally. So that's
It's actually, at the time, Mr. Chairman, so as Drew said, the mayor attended the CTCOG meeting of the directors, statewide directors. One of the ideas that they want to discuss is whether you should sit around this table and decide how to spend this money regionally, as opposed to town by town, because you're restricted in how you can spend it in your town. You can't pave put in a sidewalk or pave a road with it. It's very specific. And most of the providers are regional. The service providers and the intervention, the agencies that are involved in intervention. So that's the discussion that's going on, is whether you would take this up as a regional effort and decide how to spend the money sitting around this table among the 19 of you. I'll leave it to Mayor O'Leary to bring it up at the next meeting. Again, I know First Selectman Temple was very interested in this. I know that Mayor Dunn was also very interested in this. So we'll put it on the agenda, Lauren, for it.
Mr. Director,
Go right ahead, sir.
Prospect and Beacon Falls have had some unofficial discussions because we're a regional school district. So you may want to keep that in the back of the minds. So we can concentrate in high school, and maybe the other regions would want to do the same.
Yeah, no, nothing would be mandatory, obviously, you can, but, you know, if you have regional entities who would, implement programs using these funds, that's probably the best way for you all to decide how to do that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. There's a lot of stakeholders here, and probably, and it is the best approach to do it around this table. I would agree with that. Drew, could you give us a quick update on any legislative changes that are occurring up in Hartford?
Sure. So I sent an email about 10 minutes before you walked in the door with a lot of that in writing, but essentially right now the Senate and the House were both in session for the first time this week. A lot of pomp and circumstance, reappointment to committees and things like that. They're starting to delve pretty deeply into budgets, as I know you guys are all doing on the municipal level right now. So there's still a lot of back and forth about who's getting what as it relates to funding. So this week was really kind of the Finance, Revenue, Bonding Committee and the Appropriations Committee were the only ones who really had committee meetings. And a lot of that is just pushing things forward to the next step with joint favorable or joint favorable substitute language. So, you know, really they're just starting to warm up, I think, as what's going to really push forward from the committees to the full legislature.
Yeah, well, the other thing that is always a concern to people like us is the kind of laws that they pass and the regulations that they mandate. So those are the things I think that if you keep us abreast on is helpful.
100%. There's a lot of unintended consequences of things at this point that are being pointed out by the other side of whoever proposed it. So there's still that coming through. So hopefully a lot of it doesn't even make it to the point where you have to deal with it.
Okay, item number 4, the emergency management, quick updates, A and B.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
You can.
Great. Okay, I have 5 items and I will make it quick. Federal disaster declaration for COVID will be lifted on May 11th, 2023. FEMA has issued guidance on pandemic-related public assistance programmatic deadlines. I just want to note that one program that will continue is the funeral assistance program through FEMA, deadline TBD. Homeland Security Grant Program for fiscal year 2022. The memorandum of agreements are due this year by September 1st. Now, we understand that municipal process takes time to address these legal documents, so please plan accordingly to meet that deadline. And the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities Emergency Management Symposium is happening next week, April 25th, in our very own Prospect at ARIA. As far as the community emergency response teams, Naugatuck is creating a new format of their meetings, which includes guest speakers. The next one on April 25th includes a guest speaker from the FBI. And finally, the next quarterly meeting of the statewide Citizen Corps is April 26th next week. If you have any questions, happy to answer them right now.
Okay, hearing none. Moving on to item number 5, NVCOG Planning and Transportation. We have Christine.
Hi there, those remaining. So I wanted to talk briefly about our Sustainable CT Fellow that we'll have this summer, as we've had in the past. They'll be assigned to support municipalities pursuing certification. Wanted to give you a few considerations so you can begin planning now. They'll be starting in, we hope, early June. So if you have already earned certification for your town, you can use the fellow to help you recertify, which has to be done every 3 years. Or you can pursue designation for a different level, like from bronze to silver, or for the new climate leader designation. If you have not earned a certification for your town, there are a few really crucial steps you can take right now to make the best use of your fellow's time. These are the 3 steps. The first is to form a sustainability team. You just need 1 staff member or elected official, and then you can use members of the public for the rest. To pass a sustainable CT resolution that simply says you intend to pursue this certification. And then finally, register on the website and get access to the dashboard. So those are 3 really critical things you can do to make the best use of their time. I am available and very happy to help with any of that stuff in the next couple months before the fellow gets here. So please feel free to shoot me an email so we can make sure your town or city gets the recognition it deserves. That's it.
Okay.
Happy to take questions.
Rich.
Yes. Yeah, we're very excited to say there will be upgrades or replacements to every station along the Waterbury line coming over the next couple of years. We will be reaching out as we receive plan sets. The first 4 towns, Savannah, Nicole, and Kevin already sent messages to. And so we're happy to review with you or assist in preparing or sending comments up to the department. Just a kind of a quick overview of what that's going to look like. All stations on the line in the region are going to get 350-foot platforms. That's the new standard within the department. They're all going to have canopies that are capable of holding solar panels if the department decides to move that way in the future. They'll have real-time arrival boards, ticketing, and all of these platforms are going to be high level, fully ADA accessible.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
So Rich, the Naugatuck project is supposed to be on an expedited time schedule. We've got grant funding from the state. We're ready to go now. We're working directly with DOT. And I just want to make sure you understand that Naugatuck is going to happen probably sooner than all four on that expedited timetable. So I don't know if you're aware of that, but I want you to be aware of it.
Yeah, and so there's a couple of most of the stations will get built around the same time. There's a couple of items that'll be different. Like you said, Naugatuck is going to be expedited. And so the goal will be to get that one started, or I believe the department is aiming to get that one started first. And then the indoor waiting space in Waterbury will likely be the last piece that gets done.
Sure.
The new platform for Waterbury will happen at the same time as the others, though.
And Rich, the Derby Shelton project, station project is the RAISE grant project, which is on its own timeline kind of, but the rest of them are all ADA upgrades, high level 350-foot platforms.
And they are hoping to build Derby at the same time as the other four all station accessibility program stations.
Fingers crossed.
Certainly.
Okay, so if any of the chief elected officials or your town planners, people involved in this economic development have any comments, keep on the lookout for requests coming in directly to you. We will try to stay on top of it, but sometimes we don't get notified when towns do. So, but we will help you to prepare any comments if need be.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Moving on to item number 6, I think we've pretty much covered it. Is there anything else we need to go over?
Yeah, I actually do have, I won't touch on anything that the commissioner already touched on, but I have 3 exciting announcements for this. I'll keep it nice and brief. Household hazardous waste collection is happening tomorrow. Very exciting. It's taking place on Earth Day, April 22nd, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. It'll be held at the Shepherdson Community Center. Thank you to Middlebury for hosting us this month, and we look forward to serving our residents with this program. Another really in demand, I'm sorry, do you have a question?
Yeah, how often is that hazardous household waste day?
3 times a year. So we do spring, summer, and fall.
Okay.
How many towns are now involved?
15.
15.
Okay, next is the composter and rain barrel sale. That's another really in demand program for us. We're excited that our online store is currently open and accepting orders from residents throughout the region. The items will be distributed at the former Sears Auto Center parking lot, which already got a shout out today for where the bus is going to be in Waterbury on Saturday, May 13th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's a great Mother's Day gift. We'll have a master composter on site to answer any questions from the residents. And we're looking forward to building momentum on the last couple of years where we sold several hundred products to diverse waste and conserve water. Last thing I want to mention is you'll see some sort of sheets around the table on this. We had requests from 2 public works directors that their public works staff and transfer station staff could use more training on recycling. So we've worked with DEEP to arrange this training. It will take place on May 24th from 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. I'm sorry, whoa, that's a long time. Sorry, 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. at Waterbury City Hall. The DEEP staff will go over regulatory updates, transfer station setup, and answer any questions you may have. Everyone should have received an email about this earlier this week. Please RSVP and let me know how many people you're going to be sending so we can get donuts for all of them. And that is it on MSW stuff. Any questions? I know it's a lot.
Okay. Item C. Environmental Sustainability Forum.
Yes, okay, it's the last announcement for me, but you don't want to miss this one because it's really good. So we do quarterly environmental sustainability fora, and this one is about invasive species management. I'm sure everybody is seeing the same old pesky plants popping up again now that it's spring outside. They can block roadway sightlines and destroy native flora. So we want you to send your Parks and Rec staff, your public works staff, and of course, anyone else who may be interested, including members of the public, to attend this forum on April 27th at noon. We will train them on the best way to manage invasive species. We have in-person and virtual options. I'm pleased to say we already have 65 people signed up virtually and about 25 in person. So please RSVP as soon as you can. And in the spirit of sustainability, we'll offer a free vegan lunch to all in-person participants. Happy to take any questions.
And where's that being held again?
It's actually right here or virtually.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I see it now. All right, good. Anybody have any questions? Very good. All right. We're at the other. I don't think there's anything other.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
All in favor.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Have a nice spring weekend, everyone.
What are you guys doing with your bottle money? What are you guys doing with your bottle? Your net money?
Litter pickup. Hiring people.
Yeah.
We're both sides of trash.
Giving money like to organizations or?
Hiring part-time.
I know, we bring ours there now.
It's very embarrassing.
We pay, we
And
like.
then,
Today.